All right, what's up, co-counsels? I know I've been MIA. I need a better schedule. Was I here last week? I probably was here last week. I think I was here last week. I don't remember. In any event, let us catch up. Wait, no. The ghost of Karen Reed lives on, okay? We cannot escape this Karen Reed case. We cannot escape the Karen Reed case. So that again, I don't exactly know what's going on in the Karen Reed case, but I've just been seeing headlines, or at least I know some information about Proctor. I've read the headlines. I've not read the the articles themselves. So that might be a weekend thing because I still have to edit that Karen Reed video, okay, or at least the clips that I have. I have to actually, um, you know, put it together and create one video, right? Okay, so let's move on. Two things happened today. We had the trial in Florida. When I saw this case, when I saw this woman's face, I knew exactly what was going on. I'm familiar with her son's case. I Not even that. Before the trial actually commenced, it was a huge article, right? A widespread. The allegations were that the son entered a Home Depot and shot and killed. I don't remember if it was still a girlfriend or an ex girlfriend at the time, something about a sexually transmitted disease. And the prosecution is alleging that, the mother to some extent facilitated that murk. Okay. I watched a bit of this today, but they had too many interruptions. I cannot that. They had too many interruptions, but I also had a lot of clients come in today. Okay. What I do want to get into.
December 2nd,
Uh-uh. And then I watch a little bit of this Georgia case. They also take too many breaks for my liking. But I read an interesting comment on Reddit. Let me see if I can find the screenshot. I have too many screenshots. I am the screenshot queen. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so some individual, I took the screenshot around 12:17 p.m., okay? And somebody by the name of Even Club 1107 said, worst opening they've ever witnessed. Okay. So they pretty much wanted to know what was happening in the case. Apparently, it's a train wreck from the body parts to the God bless our country. Oh, okay. We need to get into it. It sounds like some improper remarks were made. Um, and this individual was of the opinion that they would have to dismiss themselves as a juror. Um, they hate some lady. I don't know who the lady is, but let's get into it. We just want to focus on the opening statement. And then the case out of Florida, the prosecution already arrested. They arrested today. Those are my type of cases, though, because cases that I had when I still did criminal work, my cases did not last weeks or months. Often I'd have a continuance, but we're usually done within a week. All right, let's get started. You guys know I can ramble and ramble and ramble. Oh, let's get into the opening. All right. There we go. There we go. Come on. And I still want to get into that queso. I want to get into queso, okay? I need to get into queso because I have some thoughts about a lot that transpired. I definitely want to make a video about the Lacey Washington verdict. I have some thoughts about that. What's up, Big Brooklyn? How you doing? Brooklyn, I've been hopping back and forth today. I watched a bit of this trial. They take too many breaks for my liking, though. And then I watched a little bit of the Florida trial. They also take too many breaks for my liking. So, but I've been
Morning, ladies and gentlemen of the
with
jury.
it.
Good morning.
Okay.
I hope you had a good evening. I appreciate you being
What
here.
did you think about the opening if you watched it? I did not watch the first 2 hours of any proceedings today because I had back to back clients.
On time this morning, and I trust that you were all able to abide by the court's instructions and not have any access to any media accounts regarding this trial. And again, emphasize that that is so important to maintain the integrity of this trial, and we all appreciate your understanding and your cooperation. I do want to give you just a basic understanding of the procedure that we will follow during the course of this trial. The trial will begin this morning with the opening statements made by the attorneys. Now, I caution you that the opening statements are not evidence. They are simply an introduction to the evidence. They will give you an outline or a preview of what they expect the evidence to be in this case. And because the state has the burden of proof, the state has the right to go first.
Okay.
Now, again, as I mentioned yesterday, the defendant enters upon the trial of this case with a presumption that he is innocent. And that presumption stays with the defendant until such time as the state presents sufficient evidence to convince you jurors of the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the state's burden of proof. After the opening statements are concluded,
What's
we will
up,
begin the
Jason?
presentation of evidence. You'll hear
Oh my
testimony
goodness.
from live witnesses.
Jason must not like this guy because Jason is usually writing for the defendant. Jason is usually writing for the defendant, but Jason said that man is guilty, guilty, guilty. All right. Brooklyn, let's see. Okay. Here's what we're going to do though, because I think this trial is going to last a bit longer. And because it's going to last a bit longer, I'm going to come on as we previously did. I think we'll do every day, excluding tomorrow. Excluding tomorrow, I won't be up here tomorrow, okay? But as of next week, we will be here every day. We might exclude Fridays because Brooklyn's not here on Friday, and Brooklyn's my biggest supporter, okay? So yeah, Friday we might skip, but let's see how it goes. I want to listen
You'll
to the
see photographs, exhibits, documents, all of which will be introduced
What's
during the
Brooklyn
course of
saying?
this trial. At the
Jason, you think
conclusion of the
we have
trial,
not.
the attorneys will give their closing arguments. And again, the closing arguments, like the opening statement.
Wait, is Doug a defense attorney in this case? I don't know though. Does he have co-counsel? I don't trust Doug Weinstein around actual criminal cases unless he has a crutch in the form of a Mac Shard. I don't trust Doug Weinstein in criminal cases. I'm sorry.
Cannot be considered by you as evidence. It is very important that you pay close attention throughout the entire trial. And
Shout
I
out
will
to
try to
Benji
give
though.
you as
Benji is
many breaks
top
as
tier as
necessary
well.
to keep
All
you
right.
comfortable, to keep you refreshed.
And Jason
In the
shows
event
up every
that
once
you
in a while.
feel
which
that
I
you
do
need a
appreciate.
break and there hasn't been one, just raise your hand or try
Okay,
to alert.
so who had an opening about thank God? Because let's go back to that screenshot. The God bless our country. Was that the prosecutor?
The bailiffs.
Let's
and
fast
we'll,
forward. Let's just get in. Okay, Doug has somebody else with him. Okay, so it sounds like it's the prosecution's opening that this individual did not like. But Jason said that man is getting convicted. Okay, come on. I want to see what the prosecution has. Come on, come on.
Giving that
Oh,
year,
there we go.
December 2nd.
What's her name? What's the prosecutor's name? Do we know?
December 2nd, 2022. It was the week right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Thanksgiving that year was on Thursday, the 23rd of November.
Isn't Thanksgiving always on a Thursday?
That weekend for South Georgians is a big hunting weekend.
Okay.
It's deer season. You're going to hear That weekend, Portal Hunting Club, which is located in Riceboro, Georgia, Liberty County,
No, no.
right near McIntosh Line, down off I-95.
Let's see, which county is this? I'm gonna look him up. Let's see, where in Georgia are we? County is gonna be important. Let's see, let's play this.
Jones Road, that turns into Barrington Ferry, but it's right over there. And you're gonna hear that there were hunters out.
Okay. Liberty County.
Family weekend, they were all out for deer season. You're gonna also hear that Portal Hunting Club is a dog club. That means is that when they hunt, they use dogs to do the hunt. And the dogs run out into the woods and the deer run,
Buddy was the
and then the
standard.
hunters shoot. And you're gonna hear that one of those hunters shot a deer. And the dogs that he was using went to retrieve the buck. The dogs just weren't acting right. When he said come back,
I know this Liberty County place. I don't know. It must be really in the middle of nowhere. As far as demographics are concerned, population wise, Black or African American 41.4%, white non-Hispanic 37.4%, two or more races 6.1%, two or more races Hispanic 5.4%, and other 2.9, 2.8. This seems to be somewhere in
dogs
the,
weren't acting right.
this is somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Okay, that's why they're hunting out there.
So he went to look to figure out what was going on. He did not expect what he found.
Okay.
He found a headless, legless torso, nude, completely nude, with two arms. One almost severed. Her two legs severed. Her head severed. Just off the roadway.
Why do they think it's him though?
As you can imagine, you will hear him testify. They were shocked, horrified. And I submit to you that the evidence that you will hear is that they returned to the clubhouse to try and get the police, to call somebody to come out. And you're going to hear testimony that that's when the onslaught of law enforcement kicks into high gear. They respond and they get there by about 5 o'clock, 4:50 p.m. And you're going to hear what the hunting club area looked like. Portal Hunting Club and the area surrounding it, the adjacent territories, there's over 30,000
Yeah, we don't want them to overlap.
acres of logging territory. And they hunt on that territory.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that, Jason. Jason said that's the client right there. Okay, that is not Doug. I don't know. Doug needs somebody out there with him. Again, he does not have enough experience to handle a case of this caliber. But thank you for that. Okay, 2
That
to
looked like
3
a great
weeks.
place to drop a body. If you're not from South Georgia.
Doctor, former Army person. Okay.
That's a busy weekend. Logging, hunters, dogs. You don't know they're there. I submit to you, you're going to hear that wasn't a great place to leave a body
Okay.
because they found it quick.
Okay, so I suppose we are going to find out that the defendant was not familiar with this area, and that's why he dumped the body there, I'm assuming.
Wasn't far off the road. And they found it.
Because again, this is not evidence. But if this defendant is from the area, right? Defense can say that if he's, familiar with the area where this body was found, he would not have done it because he would otherwise know that you cannot hide a body in that part of the country.
You're going to hear and see some of the information that law enforcement collected, where the torso was recovered. And you'll see those roadways. They're not asphalt. They're not like regular roadways of the highway, but they're still roadways. And the logging trucks use those. And there are cars that come through, and local citizens will cut through there when the season is going on because the locks are off the gates. You're going to hear that people were coming and going. Lots of people. And over the next couple of days, you're going to hear what they found. But that very first day, on December 2nd of 2022, the crime scene investigator shows up and they start documenting the crime scene. And I'm going to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, counsel's right. I agree about one thing. There are tons of horrible pictures. And I submit to you that we will do our very best.
What, the defendant has been divorced 3 times? Is that what you're saying? What's the divorce 3x?
To limit what we show you. The state has a burden to prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt. And dismemberment, unfortunately, is what we were dealt.
Yeah, now that I think about it, dismembering a body, that is gonna leave a lot of evidence. That is good. Yeah, you're gonna, I don't know. Let's wait and see what these allegations are. Let's see where the location or the site of this you know the crime scene. I'm thinking out
We
loud.
have to prove that. So we will present photographs.
Bloodstain, DNA.
But the torso wasn't all that was found on that first day of December 2nd, 2022. Crime scene is going to talk about what they recovered there. And that investigator recovered not just the torso, but the tubs that were used to transport it.
DNA.
And I submit to you, you're going to hear testimony about the blood that was found inside of those tubs, that they tested it on the scene, that they knew it was first blood and then that it was human blood next, because they can test for that. And they're going to tell you also about the knife. Counsel talked to you a lot about what wasn't shown. But I submit to you, you all assured us, and I'm going to ask you to use your common sense as much as possible. You're going to hear about that knife.
Okay.
A Milwaukee
Home Depot.
orange handled, black sheathed knife. And that knife, ladies and gentlemen, had a cleansing wipe wrapped around it. Call it what you will. Clorox wipes, things you use to clean up. Those wipes were everywhere. There were lots of them that were recovered. Because the killer didn't want to leave behind evidence.
Okay.
I submit to you that killer was a prosecutor. I submit to you that the evidence is going to show that he would have known to clean up.
Wow. Hold on. This is too much information. Let's go back to Brooklyn's. Okay. Book author, former Army. Let's go back. Did she just say, hold on. I need to go back. Let's put captions. Do they have captions? Maybe not. I need to go back a little bit. She said what?
Lots of them that were recovered. Because the killer didn't want to leave behind evidence. I submit to you that killer was a prosecutor.
Yeah, I thought I misheard her when she said the killer was a prosecutor. So this guy was a prosecutor, or the defendant in this case?
I submit to you.
I don't know. If he was a prosecutor, then I don't know. You cannot, there's no way he can get away with a crime like that.
But the evidence is going to show that he would have known.
Maybe in 1982, maybe not even 1982, like 1963 or something. Right now, their technology is really, really, really advanced.
To clean up. And I submit to you.
I'm going to look him up again.
There's more evidence. That knife was purchased. I submit, the evidence will show, by Nicholas James Casotis.
Uh-oh.
If you look at that picture, Steve will
Uh-oh.
introduce it. You can see that knife tucked under his arm. That's him.
No, this is not looking good right This is not looking good right now. I don't know, we're like 10 minutes into opening.
On surveillance from Home Depot. And I submit to you that in case you were unsure that that was him, that's the receipt showing, if you look closely, that's his name, Nicholas James Casotis. So I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, there's no question that the evidence will show that Nicholas James Casotis purchased that knife. And if you look at that, he bought it at 8:56 a.m.
What day?
on the morning that you will ultimately hear was the day her body was dumped. The same day, hours after. And you will hear evidence of exactly how we know that. You'll see the tubs. They will be here in this courtroom. You will hear about the DNA analyst testing the substances.
This sounds like a repeat of Lori Vallow Daybell, or Dave, whatever her name is. Okay. So Brooklyn said second wife was deleted. Third one was married before the arrest, April, and divorced in August. Jason, he was happy. Who leaves the weapon? What the heck? He wrote a book. Wow. He wrote a book with a safe side. I don't know. Isn't there another lady, Corey, somebody that wrote the I don't know. Jason said, I told you, in my opinion, that man's guilty. I don't know.
Inside of those tubs, and that it was Mindy's blood.
I don't know. We're just to 5 minutes into opening. It's not looking good.
In those tubs. They didn't know who she was then. They just knew there was an unidentified torso. Those tubs also get bought at Home Depot. And you're going to hear how detectives from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation ran down every lead they could. And in the beginning of this case, you're going to hear that there wasn't a lot to work with. You're going to hear they found a torso with no head and no legs. And that
I'm sorry. Nicholas is going to need some corrupt officers or somebody with improper conduct or something in this case.
was all they had. That, the knife, and the tubs. So you're going to hear how they started with the knife and the tubs. And then it gets worse.
Okay.
Because while hunters are still out hunting,
they discover more
we
body
find more
parts.
pieces. Over a 3-mile radius, pieces are dumped with no regard, I submit to you, will be the evidence. Tossed into the woods. The heavier piece, right by the edge of the road. But her legs, they're brought farther out in the woods. Second tub is recovered. I submit to you that was used to carry her leg. You're also going to hear how her head was ultimately recovered. First leg found by a hunter, separate hunter than the first crew. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear about all of the victims in this case, because although Mindy suffered the most tragic loss,
There's more
no
than one
question,
victim?
every person this case touches suffered.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're going to hear there's a second hunter that finds the first leg. And then you're going to hear that they do a canine search. They deploy the dogs, cadaver dogs, to try and find the rest of her. That their job was to try and find this whole person to lay her to rest. You're going to hear that a canine recovered with his handler, of course, the second leg. And I'm not going to show it right now, but you're going to hear how they collected maggots, fly larvae from that leg to determine
Brooklyn.
when these pieces were dumped. You're going to hear from the doctor. I call him the bug doctor. He's an entomologist. Not that fancy.
That's
He's going to tell you when those bugs could have been exposed to her body,
Okay.
and how that helped law enforcement to narrow down when she got there. That's the second tub.
Sheesh.
That was found next to the leg. And you're going to see where each of these pieces was recovered. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear that they were recovered exactly where Nicholas James Casotis' vehicle was tracked.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm sorry. Wait, what?
You're also going to hear him admit that he was there.
Oh my goodness.
And I submit to you, you're going to hear him admit it.
There's no way that guy was a former prosecutor. If he was a prosecutor, he was dealing with traffic tickets or something along those lines. There's just no way. Mm-mm.
Once he realizes
What, did he have his cell phone on him?
law enforcement can track his car.
What the hell?
The head, unfortunately, wasn't found until 5 days later,
Alexa, stop.
buried. That's the shovel. And I submit to you, you're going to see the pictures that show that a shovel was used, because you're going to see that there are roots that are disturbed, where a shovel hit roots and a new spot was picked, and her head was buried. You're going to hear about how by some miracle that head was found.
Brooklyn, we've tried that speed before. I'm a slow talker and I listen slowly. So that's not going to work for me. That's too fast.
By some disturbed dirt by the roadway.
What the hell?
And then you're going to hear and see Mr. Casotis.
Oh, he was a former Navy JAG officer. Got it. That just means that, I mean, he was a lawyer, but more so for the Army. I don't know that they get the same exposure or experience as the rest of us.
Buying a shovel, November
You
4th
get good benefits though.
of 20.
Oh my goodness. That's what I said. There's no way. This guy was not a real prosecutor. I'm sorry. There's just, what the hell? Now he's used to dealing in the Army. These JAG officers, most of their time they're dealing with what is this disorderly conduct, other officers, drinking and X, Y, and Z. They don't deal with real crimes. They don't deal with real crimes.
22.
I used to live next to actually a few times I've lived close to Army bases and would get some of those cases from over there.
From Home Depot. Just by his house in Savannah.
Most of them were Deweys though.
Counsel had you believe it's circumstantial. You're not going to see anything, but I submit to you, your common sense is going to easily dictate what the evidence shows.
I don't know, Mr. Nick. I do not know.
An autopsy is conducted. 2 days, because we didn't know if the head was going to be recovered.
Okay.
That's what you're going to hear the officers testify to. And Dr. Lehman, our medical examiner, is going to explain that.
Alexa, remind me school bus at 8:55 a.m.
He took what's called blood stain cards so that he could send the DNA to the laboratory to determine, is this the same person? We made sure we had the same person first. And on the 9th, he continued the autopsy because the head was recovered. And he's going to tell you there were 9 traumatic wounds to her skull. She was
Okay, I sped it up a little bit,
on the head.
Brooklyn.
You will see it. Those didn't go away. One of them resulting in a small fracture. I submit to you, you're also going to see her abdominal wounds.
Mm.
And you're going to hear why. The state is going to present to you a reason why there were wounds to her abdomen as well.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you're going to hear about the dismemberment.
That's what I want to hear
You're
about.
going to hear from the doctor. He can't rule out certain things. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear the reason he can't is because of the defendant.
What do you
I
mean?
submit to you, he can't rule out, for example, asphyxia, choking,
No, I see what you're saying.
because her neck is missing.
Right.
Parts of her body have been so damaged that he can't do anything about that. That's what you're going to hear. He won't guess.
Mm-hmm.
You will not hear any
So
guessing.
she's preparing. What the prosecutor is doing, she's basically preparing the jurors for them not to have some shock reaction when they, when the medical examiner gets on the stand and say, it's possible, is it possible X, Y, and Z, it's possible, or that he doesn't have certain information because he did not have a complete body.
Facts. And I submit to you, those facts will be compelling.
Mm.
Who is she? That was the next step, right? Who is she? How do we figure out that it's Mindy? Now, I've called her Mindy, but the detectives and law enforcement, they didn't know yet. They're going to talk to you about what they did at the time. They tried to test her fingerprints at the scene. They had her hands.
Okay.
They weren't on record. You're going to hear that they went ahead and they checked after the autopsy. She had actually on the right side a dental implant, like a crown. They couldn't track that, but they tried. You're going to hear that they did her DNA. They're going to hear that it wasn't in the system. And they went to genetic genealogy.
And that's the same stuff that got what's his name, Brian Kohlberger. I've said, man, science has advanced. I believe if we go back, I might not have my timeline correctly. I'm trying to remember the first case that was solved. It was a cold case that was solved using genealogy. It has to be somewhere within the 2014s, but listen, time is up. Okay, time is up. But I don't care how smart somebody think they are. You cannot get away with a crime of this magnitude. Okay, if you end up with a proctor, then that's your lucky day. Otherwise, they are tracking people down.
Country. Technology gets better and better.
Right, every year.
And they were able to get leads
Mhm.
to figure out who she might be related to try and figure out who this woman was.
Right.
And you're going to hear that the lead that they got dealing with the FBI was for who might be her mother, Betsy Mebane. And Betsy Mebane, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear they did her buccal swabs. It's like a Q-tip,
Yeah.
those cotton swabs that they put inside your mouth, and they collected mom's DNA. And it turned out that was her mother.
Okay, that's actually interesting. I need more information as far as what led the FBI to the mother, right? What that actual connection was.
99.9999%
That's the mother.
That is Mindy. You're going to hear about the forensic sketches that came out that they tried to find information and the hundreds of leads that law enforcement ran down.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear about all of the work that everyone put in to try and figure out who is this woman. All while they were trying to run down the knife and the tubs because that's all they had at the scene at the time. Remember I told you the doctor, the entomologist, he will estimate the dates of exposure between a window. He gives a window and he'll explain to you why there's a window of the 27th through the 29th. And the mean or the median right in the middle is the 28th. But it could be a little bit before or a little bit after. Because he's going to tell you how he did DNA on the fly larvae to figure out how far along they were in their life cycle. So he could know exactly when her body was dumped there. But that in of itself isn't all you're going to have. Now that we know it's Mindy Mebane Casotis, you're going to hear that law enforcement went and talked to the people that last saw her alive.
Okay.
Again, keep closing in that window, right? And you're going to hear that she was at her house with the defendant at the time in Savannah. Her parents had gone away for Thanksgiving weekend. Her dad's going to tell you that he saw her a couple of days before they left. They went up to Hilton Head with their youngest son, and that they were not at the house that weekend. The four of them you're going to hear lived together. Mindy, Mr. Casotis, her mother, and her father.
Okay.
And that her mom and dad went away knowing that Mindy wasn't feeling well, that she was on bed rest from being 8 months pregnant. That's what her parents thought. In fact, you're going to hear that they thought that January was her due date.
Was she pregnant? Was she not
That she
pregnant?
didn't go because she was going to stay home. She didn't feel well. And you're going to also hear them tell you that they were very glad to hear when Mr. Casotis advised them that Mindy was in the hospital because they thought, great, she's going to get treatment.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know. Mr. K, I just, this is not looking good. It's too early. It is too
Take
early.
care of her. We're not worried. So they weren't surprised when they came home and they didn't see Mindy.
Mm.
And you're going to hear one of the most compelling things.
Okay, what's that?
Her dad had hip surgery
Okay,
November 30th of 2022
and
when he came back from Hilton Head. And when he came back, he went into the hospital, St. Joseph Candler, near the house. It was an overnight stay. And on December 1st, when he came back, Mr. Casotis helped him into the house with his wife. It's a couple of steps to walk in, and he had just had hip surgery. And you're going to hear Mr. Casotis told her parents, don't worry, I'll take care of Mr. Mevin. Go back to work. Mrs. Mevin, go back to work. I'll watch him. And while they're in the house together, he says to her father, I'm going to get Mindy.
okay.
She's dead. I'm going to get Mindy is what you will hear, but she's dead.
Wait,
And he knew that.
okay.
And I'll tell you why. The evidence is going to show that they were at this house in Savannah, and that in the house in Savannah, there's blood in the house, and it's Mindy's blood.
That's what I
And
said.
you're going to note notably.
I don't know what prosecutor this was. We've established he was JAG because it's just, nope.
You're going to see the photographs that blood is right where her head would be on the futon.
Mm.
You're going to hear about blood specks on the wall that they needed to use Blue Star, a luminescent, to find because it had been cleaned up.
I don't know.
You're going to hear
This guy needed or needs a real criminal defense attorney. Doug is not it. And I don't even know that a real criminal defense attorney can do anything for him because this is, unless people have amnesia when they get on the stand, this appears to be a solid case.
we don't know whether she died there. But there was definitely a bloodletting event there. And the only person with access was Nicholas James Casotis.
Oh, wow.
So we follow his car because now we know it's the 29th, 27th through the 29th. And what we find, his car is a green Ford Explorer. If you see at the top of that frame, there's a City of Riceboro building, and that building has a camera.
Hmm.
And that camera captures a green Ford Explorer driving past it November 29th. I submit to you the evidence will show that that's the same day, if you recall, he bought that knife that was found on the crime scene. 8:56 in the morning. You're going to see his car. I submit to you, drive right past it, and I'm going to.
No, I'm sorry, Brooklyn. It's not too early. It's not too early. I understand exactly why Jason has formed an opinion because this is not sounding too good.
Submit to you that the evidence that you're going to see that tells you why we know it's his car is that car has Bluetooth. When you buy a new car and your phone can sync so you can talk on your phone, lots of those new cars do that. AT&T keeps those records.
Right. And that's what I don't like about this new. There's an update, a Google Maps update that came out. It has to be sometime last year because I first noticed it last year when I was driving my kid to school. But they're tracking things, and if you have insurance with Progressive, they've been. I don't like the way they've been doing it. They've been promoting some software, and apparently, if you agree to have this software installed, then you get a discount on your car insurance. It's a whole bunch of crap. Okay, they're just really surveilling you. That's what's going on.
Jim McIntyre's, but AT&T. I'm going to submit to you an independent third party, no interest in this case. And those records are going to show his car ping from his house to Home Depot and his whole drive right down 95 to Riceboro, right across into where he dumps the body. And he's going to admit on the audio statements to law enforcement post Miranda, an attorney who waived his rights, he told them I've turned.
I'm sorry, that's not, that man is not a real lawyer. That is not a real lawyer. Definitely not one that has worked in criminal courts.
Off my GPS. And you're going to hear the surprise in his voice when he learns they can track his car too.
Yeah, that man, no. That man was not, that's not a real prosecutor. JAG is not the same thing as being in the trenches in a real criminal court.
You're going to hear that the car and the phone follow the same path.
Right.
You're going to see that witness from Riceboro, and you're going to see those photographs. And there they are. You're going to see his Ford Explorer drive right past it. You're going to see the Georgia records that show his car. You're going to see the car records that show he bought that car with cash. Almost $46,000 of cash that he claims Mr. McIntyre was running all of his money, and he had no money. That's what you're going to hear. And we're going to tell you where he had money from.
Okay, where?
You're going to see the car come, and you're going to see the car go. And I told you.
Where'd they get money from? A life insurance?
That's why I said December 1st. He tells her parents he's going to the hospital to pick her up. She's already dead because he put her there.
I'm curious to find out what he tells the parents, though. So you claim you're going to pick up your wife from the hospital. When you return home and you don't have her, what are you telling your in-laws?
You're going to hear why everybody believed Mr. Casotis. Counsel just told you all these wonderful things about his client. Decorated military veteran.
I don't know. Did we miss the defense opening? Somebody let me know.
Prosecutor. Judge Advocate General with the Navy. Pentagon. Boston. 2 law degrees. It's not just her family that believed him. Everybody believed him. On paper, he looked like Prince Charming. I submit to you that's what the evidence will show. And then you're going to hear the statements from the defendant. I submit to you, you should listen to them very carefully. There's a lot of information in there. And it's information that law enforcement was able to run down. It's not just lies. It's things that are impossible, I submit to you.
Yeesh.
The question becomes why, right? Mr. Weinstein talked a little bit about the divorce. And I'm going to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that after 10 years as a decorated military veteran, Mr. Casotis just leaves the Navy.
Okay.
But he leaves because he owes his first wife $1,500,000+. And the Navy is going to make him pay it.
Who was he married to?
Because he owes his first
He
wife
owes much money.
$1,500,000+. And the Navy is going to make him pay it.
Okay.
I submit to you that divorce you're going to hear about, and you're going to hear about it from the understanding of why him and Mindy were on the run. I submit to you, Mindy will be afraid. I submit to you, he fooled her too. I submit the evidence is going to show that her close family and friends are going to tell you that she was afraid. She bought it, and she paid for that with her life. I submit to you, you're going to hear that there was a new woman, that Mr. Casotis, before he even had this death, was already moved on.
Okay.
He started talking to a new woman. She didn't know. You're going to hear she did not know he had a wife. She was not from here. She was not in any way aware of what was going on. And that he tricked her too. And you're going to hear that he was running as quick as he could away from Georgia.
Where did he go?
You're going to hear that they got remarried. She was found on December 2nd.
Wait, what? He got remarried?
Was already engaged by February, and that he was already married again by April.
Oh.
That he changed his name several times in multiple states. I submit to you, he didn't want to pay that money. That's what you're going to hear.
Okay.
And you're going to hear how he tried to seal off the loose ends. Changing his name, he burned the car.
Yeesh.
Submit to you, that's what the evidence will show. To the ground. March. Brand new Ford Explorer. That's what the evidence is going to show. So let's talk for just a moment about the charges. You're going to hear that the state has charged the defendant, and you're going to listen to the court. So anything I say about the law, if there's any discrepancy, you follow Judge Rose. Malice murder, intent to kill. Every blow is an intent to kill when you're striking somebody in the head. Do we know if that killed her? No, we don't. But we know that all of those contributed to her death, and you're going to hear that from the pathologist, medical doctor. You're going to also hear felony murder, which is aggravated assault, where you intend to cause harm, serious bodily injury, but it ultimately kills them. So even if you don't think for a moment that at each blow it was intent to kill, felony murder is if I intended to assault, then they die, it's felony murder. And you're going to hear something about venue, where she was killed. Counsel pointed out quite a bit about what the state doesn't know. We don't. And the law in the state of Georgia, and you're going to listen to Judge Rose, specifically instructs on venue. It talks about either the county in which the cause of death was inflicted, which in this case, you're going to hear everyone say they don't know exactly when she took her last breath.
Okay.
Because her body was dismembered and tossed over 3 miles. But they also, under the law, it says, if a dead body is discovered in this state and it cannot be readily determined in what county the cause of death was inflicted, it shall be considered that the cause of death was inflicted in the county in which the dead body was discovered.
All right.
The law anticipates cases like this. And I submit to you, that's what we have. Mindy's body was in Liberty. That's why we are here. You're also going to hear about concealing the death of another, trying to hide the death itself. You're going to hear about the possession of the knife, and you're going to hear about more than one knife, the deer processing kit and the knife itself, that Milwaukee knife. And I submit to you, you have to get through the flesh to get to the bones. And you're going to hear the tool mark expert explain, you can't do tool marks on flesh. You're going to hear about possession of tools for the commission of the crime. Those would be the Ford Explorer itself for transporting the body, the insulation knife to get access to the bones, the deer processing kit to potentially cut through the bones, and the tubs that were used to transport her, the shovel that was used to bury her head and partially one of her legs, and the removal of body parts. Because they got moved all over. You're going to see them all over that map. And then the tampering, those cleansing wipes, trying to get rid of biological evidence. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, a prosecutor would know that.
Nah, that's not a real prosecutor. I'm sorry.
I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to bring your common sense. Follow the law. And give justice to Mindy Nevin. Thank you.
What on earth was this person on Reddit talking about? Unless they were referring to a different kitten. Nah, let me look at that screenshot again. I believe this is the case they were referring to. I cannot find the screenshot. Doesn't matter. Sheesh.
All right, thank you, counsel. If you would please call the first witness.
I don't know. Let's quickly listen to the defense opening because, oh, there we go. That was Doug. I don't know. Mr. Nick,
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced myself yesterday, but just so, again, y'all know who I am. My name is Doug Weinstein, and I am representing Mr. Casotis in this case. It is my honor to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, my client, Nick Casotis, is not just an accomplished attorney.
Sir, are you out there on a cell phone?
And decorated JAG officer who served his country in Iraq and in the Pentagon. He is also a man who lived in fear. Relentless, all-consuming fear.
Oh,
His wife, Mindy, also lived in fear.
Okay.
Mr. Casotis is accused of the unthinkable, the absolutely unthinkable, murdering his wife. But the truth, what really happened, is far more complex.
Okay, what happened?
Mr. and Mrs. Casotis were told that they were targets. You will hear testimony that a man calling himself Jim McIntyre, who knows if that is his real name, claiming to be with the FBI, told them that their lives were in danger. that they had to disappear, follow orders without question, and trust no one. Not their family, not their friends, not their loved ones.
Hard to believe that an attorney or a JAG officer would actually follow through with those instructions without questioning them. But let's keep going.
Every move they made, every lie that they both told, every strange decision, and there were quite a few that you will hear about in testimony, were driven by that fear. Mr. Casotis lied to his friends. He lied to his family.
That's not a good start. If your client is out here lying and you're also admitting to him being a liar, that is not a good start. Oh, by the way, I found out, I think it was today or was it yesterday, that Diddy has been denied bail. And I'm not really keeping up with the Diddy stuff. I'm more interested in the Epstein files, okay? They need to release those files.
He lied
Unredacted.
to Mindy's loved ones. He lied for years. Not because he wanted to deceive them,
Okay.
but because he believed
I know he needs to shine his head a little bit. It's a little ashy.
that their lives depended on it. You're not going to hear testimony that Mr. Casotis killed Mindy. You will hear testimony that he tried to protect her, but he was manipulated, controlled, terrified. And that fear, real and overwhelming, shaped everything that he did.
Casoda should have gone with a real lawyer. He just listen, Doug, this is a civil procedure guy. Okay, this is not who you hire to represent you in a criminal case, at least not a case of this magnitude, and especially not if he doesn't have co-counsel. He's reading every line. Whereas that prosecutor, she was out there with a PowerPoint and she did her thing.
For years. Who's Nicholas Casotis?
Okay.
Mr. Casotis grew up in New Hampshire, in rural New Hampshire, in an area where there were quite a bit of hunting down a road. He graduated college from Boston University.
I don't know, sir. I don't know. What I don't know is him, the defense attorney, revealing that his client grew up with some knowledge about hunting. Unless I just don't know where this defense is going. Let's keep going, though.
He has 2 law degrees.
Okay.
He has a JD degree, which is the basic law degree, like I have, a JD degree from Northeastern University
Does he have a
up in Boston,
master's?
and he has an LLM from Georgetown.
Okay.
In Georgetown, he specialized in national security law
Okay.
and in cybersecurity. You will hear that Mr. Casotis is a decorated military veteran, as I've already alluded to. He served in the JAG Corps for a decade. He served in Iraq. He was in the Pentagon. When he separated from service, he left as a lieutenant commander.
Okay.
He achieved numerous commendations within the Navy. He got the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, the Joint Service Commendation Medal. And during Nick's time in the Navy, in the JAG Corps, he would sit at this very table that the prosecutors are at now, because during his time, at least in Italy, he was a prosecutor.
He was what? Wasn't.
He would sit at this very table that the prosecutors are at now, because during his time, at least in Italy, he was a prosecutor.
In Italy?
You will hear testimony, I expect. I don't know everyone that the state is going to put forward, but you're going to hear testimony, I imagine, from Mr. Casotis' first wife, Heather. They were divorced in
Not the
2015
first wife.
when Mr. Casotis learned that Heather was being unfaithful. He marries his second wife, Mindy Casotis, the woman that was tragically murdered, and that you're here to hear evidence upon, in the fall of 2016.
What's he doing with his fingers? Are you nervous? What's going on? Big boy hand.
Shortly
Big boy hand.
thereafter, Mr. Casotis separates from the Navy. He serves for a brief time as a civilian in the Navy, but then he leaves that. And why does he leave that? He leaves because, frankly, a lot of very strange and unusual things begin to happen, and you will hear testimony on that.
Are you calling a witness?
And he eventually contacts authorities, and a man calling himself Jim McIntyre appears.
Okay, so he
Now,
did.
Jim McIntyre claims to be with the FBI, and Jim McIntyre tells Mr. Casotis,
Okay, so is the defense claiming that Jim McIntyre is the one that took the wife out? How do you explain the Home Depot, the sheath, the tubs? I don't know, Doug Weinstein. I don't know.
tells Mindy that they're in danger. They're in danger, their life is in danger, and they have to go essentially on the run. You'll also hear that following Mr. Casotis' divorce from his first wife, Heather, she gets a $1.5 million judgment
Okay.
as part of the divorce against Mr. Casotis. In the course of providing that award,
Yes,
Mr.
of course.
Casotis was under the belief that he was the recipient of a sizable sum of money. But you will hear he never gets that money. That money was
What money did he expect to get? Was somebody about to die? Was he going to get an insurance? Was it life insurance? Who even, I don't know, who settled such a divorce? I have no idea.
illusory. That money was allegedly being held by Jim McIntyre for Mr. Casotis. So he believed
Wait, what?
he was getting that money. He never got that money. I imagine that the state is going to tell you that Mr. Casotis and Mrs. Casotis, Mindy, moving around the country is because of this $1.5 million judgment. But the reality is it was because of fear. So there's a lot going on with Jim McIntyre. There are a host of lies that are told by my client over the next few years while they are
That's not a good opening. You pretty much, I mean, if the client's a liar, then I suppose there's nothing you can do about that. Maybe don't highlight the fact that your client's a liar.
on the run. As I said, you're going to hear about the lies that they told to their friends. You're going to hear about the lies that they told to their family, and specifically that Mr. Casotis told. But this isn't a case about that. I would like you to focus on the tragic murder of Mindy Casotis.
And how do they do that?
You're going to see horrific, awful images of Mindy Casotis' body. Unfortunately, I imagine that they are going to stay with you long after this trial is over.
Right. They're going to be traumatized.
You're going to see her torso.
Mm.
You're going to see her legs. You're going to see her head.
Mm.
And it will be difficult for you to see that. I'm sorry that any of us have to see that. You're going to see a Milwaukee knife that was found near the scene of her body.
Okay.
What aren't you going to hear? You're not going to hear evidence that that knife was used on Mindy Casotis. You're not going to hear.
I don't like that argument, Doug. And the reason I don't like that argument, it sounds like he's saying, okay, the knife belonged to my client, but it's not my client that did all of this. It would be different if the client had, or at least maybe they do have another knife, right? Maybe they have a second knife that they can pull out and say, no, this is the knife that my client bought. And it's pretty similar to what they found on the scene, but it's not what my client had. So we'll
Evidence
see, though.
from the state's own toolmark expert that that knife was used on Mindy Casotis. You're going to hear about a tub that was found near her body
Okay.
that was likely used to transport Mindy Casotis. You're not going to hear evidence of Mr. Casotis' DNA on that tub. You're not going to hear evidence of Mr. Casotis' blood on that tub.
Okay.
Just like in the knife, you're not going to hear evidence tying Mr. Casotis to that specific knife. Now, you will hear evidence that Mr. Casotis purchased the same brand and style of knife at Home Depot.
That's
But you will not see evidence again that ties Mr. Casotis to that specific knife found at the scene. You're also going to hear evidence of a knife set
I don't know, Doug.
that Mr. Casotis purchased at Bass Pro Shops around the time of Mindy's death. But again, the state's own toolmark expert.
We've established he's not a seasoned defense attorney. He's admitted to the same. So it's not that I have anything against him, but for somebody that has spent the majority of their career in criminal courts, it's never, what is this? Somebody that did not start from the very bottom of a criminal, or as far as criminal cases are concerned, does not know how to properly try or properly defend against a law charge. So that's the issue that I have here.
Is not going to be able to tell you that those knives were used on Ms. Casotis. There's a lot that the state will not be able to show you. The state will not even be able to tell you how Mindy died. They do not know how Mrs. Casotis died. She was murdered, but how is unknown. You're not going to hear evidence telling you where Mindy was killed. They don't know where Mrs. Casotis was killed, and you won't hear evidence about that. At the time of Mindy Casotis' murder, Mr. and Mrs. Casotis were living in Savannah.
Okay.
You'll hear evidence about the state's searching of the Airbnb that they were renting in Savannah. You'll hear evidence of her blood being found on the futon at that residence, along with another individual's blood. You won't hear evidence about whose blood that second individual's is. The state's case is going to be very circumstantial, which is why they will tell you it takes 2 weeks to put it on.
Most cases are circumstantial.
You're going to hear evidence that my client's vehicle was at the scene
Okay.
because they track the GPS in the vehicle. And when I say the scene where her body was found.
Okay.
But you're not going to hear any eyewitnesses placing my client at the scene. You're just not going to see any of that. So while
It's not a good defense.
you're going to hear witness after witness after witness testify about the lies that my client told when he was on the run from the individual or individuals that were trying to harm him and his wife. You'll hear lots of that. You're not going to hear a lot of evidence tying my client to this murder. So what I ask you to do is focus on what's really at issue here.
Which is,
As you watch this evidence, focus on what evidence does the state have that ties Mr. Casotis to the death of Mrs. Casotis. They're going to want to distract you. They're going to want to get into all these other lies. They're going to want to get into his third wife. He marries another woman.
I don't know. I need you to explain, though. I need you to explain when this man says he's going to pick up the wife from the hospital. When he returns with without the wife, that's if he returns. Maybe he just goes on the run. But if he does return without the wife, what exactly is he telling the in-laws? That's what I'd like to know.
A woman that he had been inappropriately flirting with during the last months of Mindy's life. And after Mindy's tragic death,
I know Michael Jackson.
he goes to Pennsylvania and he marries her. But none of those are issues that are the primary issue. So I would just like you to listen to all of the state's evidence, hear what their witnesses say, look at their exhibits, and see if, once you review all of that, the state is going to meet their burden. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your attention this morning.
One moment, I'm parenting.
Ms. Mayo.
David Olin Lovett.
What do you go by? What are your friends?
Olin, O-L-I-N,
Mr. Love, where do you live?
Statesboro,
How long you been living there?
all my life.
How old are you?
62,
Are you employed?
yes, sir.
Where do you work?
Lovett Mills Excavating, self-employed,
What kind of business is that?
earthwork, dirt work, heavy equipment, construction.
You married?
Yes, sir.
How long you been married?
35 years,
You have kids?
yes, sir.
How many?
3.
Oh. What's the oldest, what's the youngest?
35 and 27,
Boys or girls?
all boys.
What's the oldest son do?
Bill's Cabinets.
The middle son
Works for fire retardant company.
and the youngest?
Sorry, parenting. Okay, so Brooklyn says he got Yak Gotti a not guilty verdict. It still does not mean that he was a good lawyer. From the very beginning, I did say that I was not worried about Yak Gotti, and that's because the evidence that the prosecution put on was not sufficient. And not even that. Once what's his name again? Once Young Thug was no longer in that case, once he pled out, there's no question that anything and everything that was found in his residence could not be tied to anybody else. Like if you don't have the principle, so to say, you're not going to get a conviction on anybody else. So I don't. My point is that once Young Thug pled out, they should have dismissed the charges against Yak Gotti. That's the way that I viewed that case. And getting a single, and here's the thing again, what's his name? Doug Weinstein did not try that case on his own. He got the benefit from other attorneys such as Meg Shard. That cross-examination by Meg Shard goes a long way as it relates to all the defendants in the case. But let's move on from that case. I'm tired of that case. I'm also tired of the Karen Reed case. For this one, I want to, we'll just listen to a little bit of the direct. I am of the opinion this witness is probably the person that discovers the first dismembered body part, and then we really want to get to cross-examination. Okay.
Son?
He worked for me
Okay.
in the construction business.
Are you affiliated with any house of worship in Bullitt County?
Yes, sir. State board.
That have to do with what does him being religious have to do with a case?
Worships.
Testimony.
How long you been affiliated with that?
Just 2 years because we just started.
I don't know. There's some country stuff. Okay.
Church.
Before that, were you affiliated with
First
another?
United Methodist Church.
And
all
how
my
long?
life.
How long
Let him
was-
finish
all
his
my life.
questions.
Are you familiar with the Portal Hunting Club?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
I don't know. What does the church have to do with his testimony?
The Hunt Club been in existence since 1900 in below Riceboro down here,
How long you been a member?
15 years,
How big is
That's
that
not a
hunting
goal.
area?
13,000 acres.
Is there an older hunting club in Georgia?
No, sir.
Is there a clubhouse on that property?
Yes, sir.
Describe the jury
Relevance.
that clubhouse.
It's a block building, probably 40 by 70 with 4 bedrooms and a
Relevance.
big kitchen in the back, in a den in the middle with a big fireplace.
And how does that clubhouse get used?
When we hunt, that's where we stay. You know, most everybody's from Statesboro or Portal, which is right above Statesboro, so we all stay there in the bedrooms. There's 4 bedrooms.
So you say most of the members are from Statesboro?
Yes, sir.
Why isn't there a hunt club in Statesboro?
There is, but just we like to get away. You know, try to stay out of trouble, but obviously.
Now, let me direct your attention to Friday, December 2nd, 2022. Did you have occasion to be on the Portal Hunting Club property on that date?
Yes, sir.
Was there something special about that weekend?
I don't think so. Was that the weekend after Thanksgiving?
Were you with any other hunters?
A group of us, yes, sir. Probably 30 people.
Now, describe for the jury when you're
What's
down there
up,
hunting, how
Benji?
the hunting takes place.
Usually surround the block.
Yeah, Benji in the house. What's up, Benji? Did you have a good weekend? We have, or at least we had Brooklyn and Jason in here. They kept me company from the beginning. This is the trial of a young man by the name of Nicholas Casotis. He is charged with dismembering his wife in Georgia. The prosecutor, we still did not get her name. Maybe Brooklyn has a name. His defense attorney is one by the name of Doug Weinstein. He represented a co-defendant in the Young Thug trial. So far, what we've watched is the opening statement by the prosecution and the opening statement by the defense. I skipped around a little bit, so I guess I should have just let the judge talk, because we started with the prosecution's opening, and when I listened to the prosecution's opening, probably 5 minutes in, I'm like, I don't know. The evidence, it sounds like the prosecution is going to put on a solid case. Jason from the get-go said he thinks this man is guilty. Brooklyn says it's too early, but listening to the roadmap from the prosecution, I don't know. I don't usually like to talk about guilt or innocence, but it's not looking good for Mr. Casoda so far. This is the first witness to take the stand. He's going to testify about finding the decedent. I don't know. I suppose he's going to find a limb or something. Okay. Other than that, as far as the defense theory is it's a little questionable. There's a McIntyre. There's some ghoul goes by McIntyre that had this couple running around from city to city, state to state. It sounds like they were living at an Airbnb at the time of the decedent's death. It's just, I don't know. It sounds a bit like folklore to me, but we'll see where it goes.
And then turn dogs out.
Recap. If it's not good, Benji, Jason, you can feel free to add to what I missed.
These places and try to jump a deer and run a deer. And that's what happened.
And did you have another hunter nearby where you
That's
were?
it.
Yes, sir.
Who was
Next
that?
in David Brandon. He was down probably a couple hundred yards from him.
So while you were out there hunting, did you see a deer?
Yes, sir.
Did you take a shot?
I did.
What happened after you took a shot?
I killed it.
On the spot?
Yes, sir.
Then what do you do after you shoot the deer?
Well, I was just went down there to look, and David, my next stander, he came down with me, and we walked down there and saw the deer. And that's when I saw the torso in the ditch, and I thought it was a hog because there's a bunch of wild hogs down there, and I just thought it was a hog. And David and I looked at the deer, and then we went over. He said, "What's that?" And we went over and looked at it, and it wound up being a torso.
Did you touch it or do anything
No,
with it?
sir. It was down in a ditch in the water.
I'm showing you now what's marked as State's Exhibit number 2.1.
Oh yeah, I don't want to watch this stuff.
Yes, sir.
What is the picture?
That's a picture of the torso we found.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the torso as you saw it that day?
Yes, sir. I really don't remember but one arm. I don't know if this arm was under the water or what.
I'll tender at this time State's Exhibit 2.1.
It is admitted.
And I would ask that this time it be published for jury.
You may, sir.
All right, I want to get to Cross. Let's see if we can get to Cross, but he's almost done testifying, so
Mr. Lovett, after
unless that's a break.
apparently they can't see it.
No, I don't want to see that stuff. I do not want to see that stuff. It's gonna make me throw up.
Just showing a blank screen.
Come on. This would be a terrible case to be on as a juror. They're not going to be able to eat.
Sorry.
Is it on now, Paul?
Yes.
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 Yeah, we're right.
Thank you.
Members, and they called the sheriff's office. 911.
Okay, and ultimately you went back down there
Yes,
around the
sir.
time the police arrived?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Philip McCallum?
I do.
Was Mr. McCallum out there that day?
He was.
For so long as you were in the
Not to
presence of that
sneeze.
torso, did you or any of the other hunters touch it?
Oh, no.
All right, Benj.
Do you recall about how long it took the first officer to get there?
Not long at all, probably 15, 20 minutes at most.
When that first officer arrived, was the torso in the same condition as you saw it?
Yes, sir.
While you were there, did you see the police put up a crime scene tape?
Yes, sir.
And when the tape was put up, did you and the other hunters move outside the crime scene tape?
Yes, sir.
And were you there when Philip McCallum found something?
Yes, sir.
What did he find?
Did you see what he found?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
A tote turned upside down.
A what?
Correctly.
Did you see what he found?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
A tote turned upside down, if I remember correctly.
Hey,
That's all the questions
No.
I have.
Just briefly,
briefly, you better. Oh boy, this is a mess. What the hell? Yes, I don't know. I'm sorry, distracted.
Mr. Lovett, I'm Doug Weinstein. I represent Mr. Casotis. Just a few questions for you. How long have you been hunting?
All my life.
And that year, I guess of 2022, when was the hunting season that year?
Like third Saturday in October till about the second Saturday in January.
How did you know it was hunting season?
That's kind of a silly question, to be honest with you. I mean, our life.
You say it's a
surrounds-
silly question?
That's kind of a silly question, to be honest with you. I mean, our life surrounds that.
It's not a secret that it's hunting season, right?
Indeed.
You don't need to show some special handshake to know it's hunting season,
No,
right?
sir. No, sir.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Your experience. Appreciate it.
Unless the purpose of that cross-examination is to later argue that his client, I believe he said the client is from or grew up in New Hampshire, and that I guess he has some knowledge of hunting, he would not otherwise have, dismembered the wife and dropped her body in an area when people are hunting. Maybe that's but even then, that is an argument for closing argument, and that's not evidence. So,
Thank you.
They called Anthony Brown.
can we see this witness? For this case, though, I'm particularly interested in hearing from definitely the in-laws. I want to hear from them. As far as the first wife, sure, 1.5 million or 1.1 million or whatever. But I'd like my main thing is I want to know what the defendant told them when he returned from a hospital without their daughter. That's what I'd like to know. All right, come on. I mean, I understand why they did this, but I don't like.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Before you're seated, please raise your right hand and take the oath.
Okay, can we see him?
Confirm the testimony that you're about to be able to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Please have a seat.
Anthony Brown.
You state your name, please.
Anthony Brown.
How are you currently employed?
Went to Liberty County Sheriff's Office, but assigned to the U.S. Marshal Task Force.
What do you do when you're assigned to the U.S. Marshal Task Force?
We're responsible for tracking fugitives.
Now, before you were in civil law enforcement, were you in military law enforcement anyway?
Yes.
Where?
United States Army.
From when to when?
From 2002 to 2008.
And what were your duties as law enforcement in the Army?
Served on patrol as a military police and also as a desk sergeant at Fort Monroe.
In total, how long have you been a law enforcement officer?
22, 23 years.
What's your current rank?
Lieutenant.
Did you have occasion to be working on Friday, December 2nd, 2022 at around 4:50 p.m.?
Yes.
And around that time, did you receive a dispatch to go somewhere?
Yes.
Where were you dispatched to?
I was dispatched to Barrington Ferry Road near the water tower out in Riceboro.
What time did your shift begin that day? Do you remember?
4:45.
And did you
PM.
go to that location?
Yes.
When you got there, what happened?
Upon arrival, I met with the caller, who was George Kell, who stated that they had found a headless body in a ditch, and he took me to where it was at. I followed him in my patrol vehicle.
About how long a drive was it from the clubhouse to the torso?
Well, we didn't meet at the clubhouse. We met at if I remember correctly, it was at Sandy Run and Barrington Ferry. It had to be.
Sorry, let's get to cross. Oh, something's happening. Hold on. Did something
We're
happen?
on scene.
The times I show for those,
Something's happening.
like the crime scene.
To keep vehicles from driving out.
I just want to focus on cross. I want to see what Doug has here, because
At the edge of the wood line, knife
there we go.
at the edge of the wood line. And while we were standing there talking, he noticed a knife at the edge of the wood line
Okay.
where the road meet with Barrington Ferry.
Objection to hearsay about what the other officer noticed.
I'll sustain the objection.
Based on what you were told, did you go to a location and see something?
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw a knife at the edge of the wood line where it meets Barrington Ferry Road. And there was also some Tupperware type bins that was there also.
Was that inside or outside the crime scene tape that was initially put up?
At the time, it was outside.
And did that change the location of the crime scene tape after that was discovered?
Yes. At that time, I directed my patrol guys to push the crime scene tape back up to Barrington Ferry Road beyond the evidence that we were looking at.
At some point, was a decision made to call in the GBI to investigate?
Yes.
Were you present when Agent Sands arrived on scene?
Yes.
Based on your crime scene log, what time did Agent Sands arrive?
1959 hours, which is 7:59 p.m.
That's all the questions I have.
Weinstein, cross-examination.
Yes, thank you, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown. What's your proper title?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Brown. Okay, I apologize.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Lieutenant Brown, my name is Doug Weinstein. I represent Mr. Casotis in this case. You testified that when you got to the initial scene, when you first pulled up, there were other vehicles on the scene.
Yes, sir.
How many other vehicles were there?
I do not recall.
More than 2, more than 5?
Doesn't
It had to be more than 2 because there was vehicles on the scene to include the caller who took me to the scene, I believe. Yes.
And what kind of road is that? Do you remember if that's a paved road or a dirt road?
It's a dirt road. It was a dirt road.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And what efforts were made to secure the road itself?
Meaning like the crime scene.
To keep vehicles from driving? Were any efforts made to keep vehicles from driving up and down that road?
So we allowed those vehicles to leave off of there, but after that, no other vehicles were allowed on the road. Yes, sir.
And how far was the torso found from the road?
I don't recall the approximate distance.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
What is that? It? Come on now. Listen, Brooklyn, you did not want this man defending you in a criminal case. Benji's at work. I had a good weekend, Benji. I did not really get up too much. Did my regular laundry, X, Y, and Z. My daughter and I went to a block party for a little bit. The food was awful. The food was awful, but we did go to a record store. Looked at some records, did not buy anything, which is good because I do have a bit of a spending problem. Like I just buy whatever it is that I see. Yeah, but we had a good weekend. Hopefully you did too. Right. All right, let's move on from here.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, this man should not listen. Doug Weinstein should not be representing anybody in a homicide. He can take on traffic tickets. He can maybe take on a petty theft, maybe drug possession. I don't even know about drug possession. This man should not be. He should not. So far, I don't know. I've not seen cross-examination from this man. I don't know. I have issues. I have real issues.
I'm sorry, maybe approach.
What are you guys approaching? I hate so many sidebars. Like, just be prepared when you get into court. Let's break when we need to break. Let's have lunch and let's go home. So, okay.
The council will approach again.
I hate so many freaking sidebars. Dang, either the prosecutor is really short or everybody's much taller than she is. Yeah, I guess they just might be really short. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. State of Georgia. Let's keep going. Come on, who's next? Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, Benji. So the defendant apparently is a former prosecutor, but as the prosecutor in this case was giving her opening statement, the roadmap, I said there's no way this guy was a real prosecutor in real criminal cases, okay, based on the allegations. Well, they clarified the man is actually, or he's a former JAG, okay, so he worked in the military, he was a military attorney, which I suppose, as far as credentials are concerned, you are an attorney, but they do not have the same, or they're not exposed to the same cases as real prosecutors in real criminal courts are exposed to. Okay, they deal with, again, it's this drunken driving. Not even then, because those cases are really prosecuted by those cases are in fact prosecuted by the county. Because I worked, let me see how many bases. I think it was 2 military bases that I lived close to, that I also worked. I worked in those jurisdictions. And what happens is, let's say somebody in the military was caught, or they're charged with drunken driving. Okay, so they would open, again, it's a real criminal case in a real criminal court. But as far as the military is concerned, they also had Alexa, stop. They had an internal process, the JAG process, where they would have a prosecutor and a defense attorney, and they'd have proceedings there. But a lot of times their proceedings really just impacted the soldier as far as their career. The real work was really on the outside, and that's by the county. Okay. I did this during one of my public defender positions, because I lived close to a military base. I had a lot of contact with a lot of folks that were in the military, because every time they were charged with a crime, they would then come with, I even forgot what the position was called. Somebody from another officer would accompany them to court, and they would basically make notes of what happened in the court. And once I actually had a case where the case resolved, but they had another internal process where, again, this whole JAG stuff. So I had to, Alexa, stop. So I had to have a lot of contact with my former client. Alexa, stop, please. I had to have a lot of contact with my former client's representative from the Army, I guess their own JAG attorney, and they were trying to figure out what to do with his benefits, X, Y, and Z, because he had a really high rank in the Army. And when you have a high rank in the Army, there's certain crimes you cannot be convicted of. Otherwise, they impact your benefits. And I believe there's an office in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. There's a specific office, and maybe there are other law firms in the country that do this, but I'm aware of one office in Virginia where all they really do is just represent people in the Army. Like, that's the whole practice, right? So I suppose there's a base somewhere out there, and somebody has found a way to maintain a practice. Anyways, that's a lot of talking. Let us move on. Let's see. Okay, what's going on? All right. So he looks like he's lost a lot of weight. So the defense attorney, the defendant are getting along, which is good. I like to see that. I like to see good communication between defense attorney and their client. All right, come on. Okay, who's that? Okay, who is she? What is she handing over? Doug. Oh, you should have asked this question. I'm playing. That's not. That's probably not.
Jury's back in place. Everyone, please be seated.
That's not what she said.
Philip McCallum.
Okay, who's he? let's see, we have a bit more
Please raise
time.
your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please be seated.
State your name, please, for the jury.
Bill Magellan,
How do you spell your last name?
McCallar.
Where do you live?
Recently moved to Shellman Bluff, Georgia,
Before that, where did you live?
Fleming, Georgia.
How long have you lived here in Georgia?
48 years,
How
Okay.
old are you?
48.
Dang.
Where do you work?
Daybreak Industrial.
And what kind of business is that?
I'm in the land clearing section of it.
How long have you been employed by that operation?
February of 2021.
Before that, how were you employed?
Is this another hunter?
Coastal Industrial Contractors.
And how long did you work with them?
Yeah, he's
2
gonna
years
find
ago.
another body part, so let's just get to Cross. Is this Cross?
That's the knife that you discovered?
Yes, sir.
When you discovered it, what did you do?
Advised the deputy that was there with us.
On Branson Cemetery Road.
No,
Yes, sir.
wait.
Can you see that on your screen?
Yes, sir.
I'm waiting for
In States Exhibit 2.10.
Cross.
Yes, sir.
And I can't remember if you already answered this. About how far did you say the leg was from the torso?
I'd say 2.5 miles.
Thank you. That's all the questions that I have.
Okay.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
No questions.
All right, thank you. Mr.
I'm sorry. Brooklyn, listen, Brooklyn, come back here. Brooklyn, I need Brooklyn to come back here. This Doug Weinstein person, you do not hire this What do you mean no questions? You are not goddamn Lori Vallow Daybell. You are a lawyer. Your one job is to cross-examine these people. That is your one job. You cannot talk about, no, I don't have questions. Then the evidence comes in unchallenged. Brooklyn, I need you to come back here. So he's asking the guy, did you want me to cross-examine him? No, you're fine. All right, next witness. I guess we're gonna play.
John Murphy.
John Murphy. Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Please have a seat.
Would you state your name, please?
John Murphy.
Mr. Murphy, how are you currently employed?
I am retired currently.
What do you do to occupy your time while you're retired?
I'm a member of the South Carolina Canine Search Team.
What is that?
It is a team designed to use canines to track both human remains and live find. So lost persons or deceased persons.
You are retired from what?
I'm a previous law enforcement officer,
In all, how long did you spend in law enforcement?
about 16 years.
So let me direct your attention to Monday, December 5th, 2022 at about 11 o'clock a.m. Did you have occasion to be on the property of on Branson Cemetery Road?
Yes, sir.
Where's that located?
In Liberty County.
And why were you at that location?
We have been requested by the Liberty County Sheriff's Office to assist in the search for a deceased person.
Okay, let's get to Cross.
A whole person or parts?
No, we had been informed that a portion of the body had already been found and recovered, but there were still some pieces missing.
Okay. Short break. I just want to see if we have Cross. Do we have?
Reported on the area where the leg was buried.
I guess.
And you said, where did you work before that?
The Scriven County Sheriff's.
No, hold on. We need to find that Cross. I'm sorry. I cannot.
Reported on the area where the leg was buried. There was also the lid for that tote discovered.
You're referring to?
I don't know whose voice that.
KOA is the
I don't
canine.
think that's
How do you
one.
spell that?
Though.
KOA.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions that I have.
Okay.
Weinstein.
Briefly, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Doug Weinstein. I represent Mr. Casotis in this case. I want to go back to the tote that you found. You say that it had been moved from where it was originally found. Where was the tote originally found?
The bushes directly behind it, it was pushed into those bushes. I'm assuming that when they took the picture, they had already pulled it out.
Well, okay.
When the dog found it, it was in the bushes.
I understand. Did you see it? Did you remove it from the bushes?
No, sir. I didn't touch it.
Did you see anyone remove it from the bushes?
I did not see anybody remove it from the bushes.
So you don't know how it got removed from the bushes,
I do
correct?
not.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm not seeing real skills here, but let's move on. Let us move on. Okay, who's next?
Whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Please have a seat.
Benji, what's up? Benji said Brooklyn. Did I say your name by mistake?
Thank you.
I'm in Brooklyn.
Good morning, Agent Dickerson.
Good morning.
Can you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
My name is Brett Dickerson. It's BRETT DICKERSON.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a special agent for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
have you worked for any law enforcement agencies other than the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, ma'am. I started my career with the Sheriff's Office in Scriven County.
And just so that we kind of try to abbreviate this some, do they go by the GBI?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Yes, ma'am. GBI.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say Georgia Bureau of Investigation 100 times. So can we call it the GBI?
Sure thing.
Okay. And you said, where did you work before that?
The Scriven County Sheriff's Office in Sylvania, Georgia.
Okay. How long did you work for them?
About 21 years.
And before that?
That was my first law enforcement job.
Okay. And what did you do at Screven?
I wore a lot of hats. So I started off working in the jail, also dispatched, and then later on went to the police academy and obtained certification as a peace officer in the state of Georgia. I worked in the road patrol division until 2007. At that point, I also graduated from Georgia Southern University and moved over to the criminal investigations division where I was an investigator. I served as an investigator from 2007 until 2018 when I was promoted to chief deputy of the agency and served there until I left.
Okay. So that was all in Screven?
Correct.
Okay. And when you left Screven County after 21 years, where did you go?
The GBI.
Okay. Tell the jury what and how you become a GBI special agent.
Well, there's an application process.
Okay,
obviously,
we don't
that's
really-
fairly extensive. Closest one
Don't
there is
really
number 4.
care.
That would be one of the pieces of torn or cut gray cloth. 5 was I did.
Gonna get
But
across.
for the purposes of this slide, it was merely to just give an approximation for the jury.
Right.
Let's-
This
let's
is
just
for someone to
read
at a glance get a good idea of
Let's see.
a good photographs where we're located as we continue. I did.
Okay. But for the purposes of this slide, it was merely to just give an approximation for the jury.
Right. This is for someone to at a glance get a good idea of where the body was recovered in relationship to the other items.
Okay.
Your Honor, we actually have completed the first portion of his testimony. It appears. Okay.
All right, ladies and
All right,
gentlemen, we'll go ahead and break for
break.
lunch. Let's see.
Okay, I guess this is the lunch break.
Joined with us in the search that day, including members of a cadaver dog team. These dogs are
I want to get to cross.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I would seek to introduce them so that they may be available to the jury subsequently if needed.
Introduce
Oh,
who?
they are admitted.
Your Honor, I'd like to just publish them in their entirety to the panel.
Okay.
That's fine.
He's with a lot of confidence. Come on. We're going. Let's see. Okay, what's going on? But you guys were publishing something now. Okay. What did they mute a testimony? Something's going on. Something's always going on.
to that, and then usually a third.
Side of the house and the neighbor to the right.
Yeah, that's a good depiction of it. Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to.
Oh, so I suppose what was happening, they're probably showing surveillance footage or something along those lines.
Slide number 44. Can you tell us, how did you gain access to enter the house? What was involved with getting into the house?
So we met. I believe her name We obtained permission from the owner of the residence, and she allowed
I'm going to
us.
stop you. I need to
I don't
clarify.
like those.
We obtained permission.
They have bars. No, that's just an open door. Hold on, I need to zoom in. Do they have bars? No, those are not burglar bars. Or maybe they are.
From the owner of the residence, and
I'm
she
gonna-
allowed
I'm going to
us.
stop you. I need to clarify my question. I mean to physically walk into the house. How do you get in?
Oh, through the front door.
I know. Are there any steps?
There are.
Okay. Can you describe that for the jury?
Sure. So there, you see, there's a concrete walkway from the sidewalk to the front of the house. There's a iron railing and or metal railing and a front stoop there, and then the front door.
Okay. So you'd have to go up those couple of steps, either holding on the left or right railing if you chose to then make that right, I guess, into that front door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 45. What's depicted here?
This is the bedroom on the southwest corner. Excuse me. Apologies, not the bedroom. This is the den area, living room on the southwest corner of the house.
Okay. And are there any light sources inside of this room that had to be covered in order to be able to conduct the Blue Star?
Yes, ma'am. The doors there leading out to the back porch or the back deck, and then the window, and also on the opposite side of the room is the kitchen. So there was kitchen windows that needed to be covered as well.
Okay. And inside of this room, was there ultimately anything of significance to your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. When we started searching with the Blue Star, one of the first things that we saw that gave us a positive reaction was the blue futon there, the cushion on the rear of it.
I'm just going to ask you once again, you said they. Are you referring to yourself or to someone else?
I am. I had help assistance. Again, this is a fairly major undertaking to
right,
put up all the plastic and everything. So I had help from my team, the additional agents to come in and prepare, and then stood by.
Thanks for that, Jason. So I will just listen to the rest of his testimony because the Airbnb in Savannah, I think it's critical.
And help me observe while I apply the chemical.
Okay. So were they assisting at your direction?
They were.
Okay. And were they in your presence the entire time?
They were.
Okay. When you say they assisted, did all of you then ultimately put up these tarps or obstructions to the light sources?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was there anything in this room that became noteworthy after you applied the Blue Star?
Yes, ma'am. After I applied the Blue Star, there were a couple of things. One, and the most obvious, was the blue futon there, the couch with the cover over it. The top of the couches were facing there on the left-hand side, had a significant reddish-brown stain on it that actually, once we discovered it using the Blue Star, flipped the light back on and saw that it was actually visible to the naked eye.
Is that the couch you're referring to there that I've kind of zoomed in on?
It is.
Okay. And did you then ultimately have the opportunity to capture photographs of the Blue Star reaction on this futon?
I did.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury, is it always possible to capture a Blue Star reaction?
So no, the way Blue Star works is it causes a reaction that is basically transient. That energy that's being released in the form of light, once that reaction is over with, that catalyst occurs, it only lasts so long. So, and because some of the sample was actually consumed as part of that testing, is something that you can't just do over and over and over again and expect the same results. So and usually there's at least 3 applications that are involved in the recovery and documentation of any stain that we find with Blue Star. And it's the first one that we use to identify it. And that's when it first glows and we go, okay, well, there's a possibility there's a stain there. Then we'll set up camera equipment and we'll try to go ahead and measure and capture that. And then usually a third one to make sure that we get a good photograph. But that's not always possible. It depends a lot on the substrate or the material that the chemicals actually come into contact with and what the blood is actually sitting on or in. And then how much has actually been deposited there.
Okay. So in this case, meaning with the futon, you were able to capture.
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to show you slide number 46. Can you tell us what that is?
So that is what Blue Star basically looks like in the dark when you spray something that makes it react, usually blood.
And what is depicted in that image in
That
slide
is-
46?
That is the stain as we observed it on the rear of the futon.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 47, and I'm asking you, can you tell us what is depicted on the area that I've zoomed in on?
So that's the same area, another futon. And again, you can see that reddish brown stain there on top of it.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that's the naked eye as opposed to Blue Star?
Yes, that was visible, with or without the Blue Star being applied.
Okay. And now looking at slide number 48, what do you have depicted there?
That's the same stain. We just pulled the futon down. That futon, the stain would have been in the upright position on the back side of the futon. So we basically just folded that cushion over and then applied a scale there to give you an idea what size the stain was.
So I'm looking at slide number 49. Is that what you're describing?
That's correct.
Okay. So would it be fair then to say, where is that stain located on that mattress?
Okay.
Or futon sitting area?
As it was oriented when we found it. And keeping in mind that, of course, the futon mattress can be placed in pretty much any configuration you want it. That stain would have been on toward the wall there where that metal portion of it is standing up against the wall.
Okay. Do you have any idea if that futon mattress had been moved?
No, I have no idea. It was that, as you saw it in the first photograph, is how we found it.
So I'm going back to slide number 45. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
And so, but you don't have any way of knowing if since December of 2022, that had been reoriented or moved in any way?
I have no idea.
Okay. So you just documented what you found?
Correct.
Okay. So when you see this stain, you said you took a measurement of the scale and the range. Is that correct? That the stain spread?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you slide number 50. What did you do here?
So again, these are field tests, the same as we used before, is phenolphthalein and also the OBTI test. The phenolphthalein returned a positive result for blood. The OBTI test returned a positive result for human blood.
Okay.
Mm.
Is that same stain that you were referring to?
Right. In this case, we used a sterile razor blade just to cut a small sample of the cloth away and tested the cloth itself.
Okay.
Okay, so I suppose that's why I shouldn't be skipping through testimony, but I'm interested in finding, as far as timeline is concerned, I'd like to know when they went to the Airbnb after the body parts were recovered, and how long was this Airbnb actually rented out for? That's what I'm interested in. And did other people reside at the Airbnb between, these folks staying there and law enforcement showing up, or what exactly happened?
Why did you do that?
I mean, obviously, that does not change the fact that her blood was found on the futon. The blood was found on the futon, unless I don't even know how you could transfer the blood there, but it was found there.
It's easier and more accurate than trying to resaturate a stain using distilled water or something like that. The normal, if we had found a dry sample or a dry stain somewhere that we want to sample, we use what's called a wet dry technique, where we'd use 2 swabs, wet one with distilled water, and use it, and then collect another with dry, and then use both of them in the test. And in this case, it was just as easy to cut a small section of the stain away and test it.
So you put the actual cloth into your testing sample?
Correct.
Okay. And with respect to the phenolphthalein, did you do any other testing?
We did the phenolphthalein test, and then we also did the OBTI test to determine if it was human blood or not. And that test returned a positive result for human blood.
And with respect to blood testing, and if this is outside of your area, please just tell me, can you tell when a stain of blood happened?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, that blood could have been placed there at any time. I have no way of telling when it was there. In fact, Blue Star can be used to recover, in an archaeological sense, can be used to actually identify blood on ancient remains.
So you just know that there was blood, you don't know when it was deposited?
Correct.
Okay. Now looking at slide number 51, what's depicted here?
So we decided to collect the stain itself from the mattress just by cutting it away. So we took the stained section away, packaged it as evidence, and then noticed that the batting or the material, the padding underneath, had actually been saturated with what appeared to be blood as well. So we decided to take a sample of it too.
Okay. And is that what's depicted in this photograph?
Correct.
I'm now showing you slide number 52. Can you tell the jury what is on the floor there that I am showing?
Right. So as part of the search process, and like I said before, there's usually an application done from Blue Star to identify where stains are. Once we identify a good location where we feel like there may be some stains, we'll mark that location. At this point, we use some black tape and just marked the outline of the stains on the floor in the general area. And then went back, set up our photograph equipment. Because again, you only get so many bites of the apple with this. You want to make sure that you get a photograph as best you can, if you can. And so in this case, we did. We were able to take this photograph, and the way this photograph was taken is a very long exposure. Most of the time, if you hear a camera click, the shutter only stays open for just a moment. In this case, the camera was placed on a tripod, and the shutter was allowed to stay open for a very long time, almost a minute, I believe, in this particular exposure. And then at the very end, I had a flash that I aimed at the ceiling. The light went up, bounced out, and then illuminated the rest of the room. So you can see both the Blue Star stain there on the floor, as well as its context with the furniture on the floor.
Okay. Now, where was this stain located in relationship to the, I'll go back to slide number 45, the rug that you see in this room?
So we sprayed the rug, and we didn't get a reaction from it. So in order to check underneath it, we moved it and then sprayed again. And that's when we found the stains on the floor.
So the rug didn't fluoresce,
It did not.
but what was under it did?
That's correct.
Did you notice anything about
Suppose
the
the
pattern
rug was
that the
moved
stain was
together?
in on the floor under where the rug was?
Well, in contrast to the stain that was on the back of the futon, you could not see the stains that are on the floor. This flooring was kind of like a vinyl plank. It was manufactured, and if you got down closely and looked at it, there were grooves in it, and this blood was not visible to the naked eye at all. So the blood that you're seeing there that's fluorescent, that's causing that stain, is actually from blood that's down in the grooves of the floor.
So when you pulled the rug up first, you couldn't see that stain with your naked eye?
Not at all.
And you only saw it when the fluorescing occurred?
That's correct.
You know.
Showing you slide
that's
number
what
53.
She just wants the jury.
What's
to
depicted there?
This is the same area of flooring with the light turned off and just the chemoluminescence depicted in the photograph.
Was there anything that drew your attention as a crime scene specialist with respect to the pattern of that stain?
Ma'am, in my opinion, particularly on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see where there's a strong reaction. Probably yes, ma'am. There in the center of the screen, there's the brightest reaction. You see how it tails off to the right, to the bottom of the photograph. That, in my opinion, appears to be a wipe. A wipe is where we have blood that's been deposited on the surface and then something moves through it, as opposed to a swipe, which would be where something bloody comes into contact with the surface and then deposits blood on it. So what we can tell from this is there was a bloodletting event that occurred in this home at some point, and then it appears that it's been wiped through.
And with respect to that, the grooves, can you see them in this pattern?
Yes, ma'am. They move from left to right in the photograph.
And when you say from left to right, would that be from left to the right in the photograph itself?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you refer to the swipe, is that the correct terminology?
Wipe.
Wipe, my apologies. When you refer to the wipe, are you referring to this section at the lower right-hand portion right here? I'm going to zoom in on it specifically.
Alexa, please stop.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be a downward motion, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Across the grain, so to speak.
So it was across the grain. Would blood normally move in that fashion on its own?
No, ma'am. I can't.
Speculation.
If you can testify as an expert in rendering
He's been
opinion.
qualified as an expert, so I'll allow it.
Can't honestly think of a way that blood could have gotten into the grooves of the floor without also being on top of the floor. I mean, I suppose you could get a syringe with a tiny needle and put diluted blood in there and then get down on your hands and knees and insert blood into the grooves in the floor.
Brooklyn,
Make
what's
that
wrong with a
happen.
man's
It would be
eyes?
Kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's the only other way I can think of.
Okay,
What are you seeing that I'm not seeing?
can we turn this? Now, Your Honor, I'm about to move to the physical evidence. Do you want to do a comfort break now, or would you like me to keep going?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll take 10 minutes later.
All right, let's go.
Was located in that first photograph you saw. Basically,
I need to take my
Saw-
seat. I need to iron, but here.
Now, Agent Dickerson, you indicated just before we broke that you saw those images of the floor underneath the carpet, correct?
yes, ma'am. I observed that.
Okay. Did you do anything with respect to those images other than just photograph them? That space under the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
What did
So-
you do?
So much like phenolphthalein and some of the other tests I've talked to you today about field testing, Blue Star is in and of itself considered a field test. So if we see a blue glow like that, then we can safely presume that that sample may be blood. So we went ahead and collected swabs of several areas. We did talked about collecting the futon cover, but also swabbed the floor in several areas. There was also a small spot on the wall.
Okay, talk to us about what you saw on the wall.
Okay, so on the wall above, where the futon back was located in that first photograph you saw, there was an arc-shaped stain on the wall. It was extremely faint. It was very, very hard to see. You had to be almost on top of it, even with the naked eye, to see it. And after that first application of Blue Star, really couldn't tell much more about it. The wall was a painted surface, so it wasn't very porous. So there's nowhere for the blood to really soak in, so to speak. And with that small of a sample, my conclusion that I felt reasonable to draw was that that first test had actually consumed what visible blood there would have been on the wall. We did swab that area though and make sure to take a sample for the lab.
Okay.
I just wasn't able to photograph it.
Okay. So earlier you testified that sometimes with Blue Star you can or can't capture a photograph. With respect to the area behind the futon, were you able to actually capture a photograph?
Not of the wall behind the futon, no.
Okay. So when you made the first application of the Blue Star, were you able to see any fluorescence?
I was able to see some, yes. That's how I identified that stain on the wall.
Okay. And with respect to the naked eye, meaning without Blue Star, could you see that at all?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. And was there anything about what you saw when it was first fluorescing that drew it to be of interest to you?
It was just so because it was the shape of the stain was determined by that chemoluminescence, that glow. The glowing area was how you could see, again, that arc shape that I described on the wall. And it was just a couple inches wide, probably about this long on the wall.
So I'm just going to ask you to clarify for the record. You did some gesture with your hands. How wide are you
Right.
talking about?
A little over a foot.
Okay.
And again, it was a couple inches in thickness from top to bottom, and it was kind of an arcing shape across the wall.
Okay. And you're making a gesture with your hand in an arcing movement. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what you believed had occurred? If you could draw an opinion.
It's very difficult to say, but considering that the Blue Star returned a positive result, and then we were able to test that later on at laboratory, there's a possibility that it could have been cleaned up.
Okay. And so, but that you were not able to document in a photograph, just what you made observations of.
Correct.
Okay. Now, with respect to this case, just before I move on completely, you previously testified, and I just want to introduce these into evidence.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with what I've remarked as 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, which I've previously shown counsel. Do you recognize these three?
Yes, ma'am. These are the two sketches in the legend to the sketch.
Okay.
For
When
the
you say
first scene,
from the first
where the
scene.
torso was found.
Okay. And when you say a legend, can you tell us what you mean by that?
So a legend is like a key to read a map. This is just a list of which pieces of evidence were associated to which placard number for reference purposes.
Your Honor, at this time I would seek to introduce these exhibits 1.2, 3, and 4.
No objection. There's no objection.
May I just display 1.3? I'm going to go old school here. Is this the legend you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm publishing to the jury. What specifically are those numbers on this legend that you're referring to?
The numbers on the left-hand side represent the placard numbers that were used at the scene to denote the different pieces of evidence we located.
Okay. And having noted those, are those the placard numbers that you testified to earlier concerning where the totes and the other various items were recovered by the gate at Jones Road?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, Agent Dickerson, after you processed each of these crime scenes, what happens to the physical evidence that you recovered?
So the evidence comes back with me to the Region 5 field office. We have an evidence processing area there. So you heard me talk earlier about the items that were wet that needed to be preserved. I was able to place those into the drying cabinet to be preserved and dried so it could be properly packaged. And then the other items that were ready to be packaged, I went ahead and packaged those. And to be entered into our digital evidence system, each item of evidence is assigned a barcode number. And that barcode number is then used to track evidence through the system so we can determine chain of custody later on, just to make sure there's a record.
Does every single item that's recovered get its own unique barcode?
Not every single item, but generally speaking, we tend to group like items together. Now, I wouldn't take something that I found in one area and something I found in another disparate area somewhere else and put them in the same bag. But all the cleaning wipes, for example, when they were packaged, many of them were packaged together in the same bag because they were found in the same location on the side of the road, and they were the same item. So,
What did you?
If it's a
guys
unique
use?
item, does it get its own number?
Bags?
yes,
Okay. And if it was found, for example, at the Savannah location versus the Torso location, you would have then issued different numbers?
correct. Nothing between scenes would be packaged together.
Okay. And was that the case here as well?
That's correct.
Okay. And were you the one that handled the coding and submission of those numbers and affixing of the barcodes?
I handled the coding, the packaging, and the entry into the digital evidence system.
All right, folks, let me fast forward a little bit here because it's past my ironing schedule. Okay. Iron. Oh, wait. Hold on.
And that tote is,
Hold on.
was that
Real evidence. Oh, actually, that's actually a really cool name for a YouTube channel. Real evidence. A real evidence.
please? You also have two items right there. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, this is the two, these are the two handles.
Okay, and where was that item located?
This was found about a half mile or so from the road where Mindy's torso was discovered, back south from the original location.
And where was that in proximity to her leg?
Would have been west,
How far approximately?
I don't know.
Okay.
Give or take.
So that was that,
Talking about as the crow flies or as you drive.
right. And would it be fair to say that there's only a few roads physically over there?
Right.
And more as the crow flies? Okay. That tote itself, what type of tote is that, size and type? If you look on the front of that.
This is a Sterilite, 34 gallon.
Okay. And that tote is gray in color, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That was in fact the same tote that you processed on the day of which December 5th of
It was
2022?
found December 5th. That's right.
Okay.
And it does appear to be the same tote.
Okay. Are those the two totes, that being 1.5 and 1.6, that you did swabbings on, that we saw the photographs of?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you. We're finished with those. I'm now going to point your attention to CC 00808, the lid of the gray tote. Did you process that lid?
I did not.
You did not. Okay. Do you know who did?
This tote was tote lid rather was.
Oh, somebody else
collected, turned over to me, and then it was subsequently submitted to the crime lab.
Do you know who submitted it to the crime laboratory?
We submitted it as part of our evidence submission process.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
Investigative team, which has been headed up by Agent Sands.
Okay. So that tote itself, do you know the lid itself? Do you know who actually put it into that bag?
I did.
You did. Okay. So somebody gave it to you and ultimately you processed it. You simply didn't recover it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that you had an opportunity to look at that lid in conjunction with the item that is in evidence as 1.6?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
However, I did not place two things together because they were found in different areas. We want to avoid cross-contamination, so they were packaged separately and processed separately.
So do you have any idea if that lid actually fits on that tote?
I do not. I'm assuming that it is approximately the same size, but that would be an assumption, so I'll try.
Okay. Can you please, at this time, I'd like to mark this as 1.7, that being the tote lid. Do you recognize the barcode on that? Don't open it just yet, please.
Sure.
Do you recognize the barcode on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was CC 00808?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as 1.7. Is that exhibit in the same or substantially the same condition, excluding, of course, any crime laboratory tape that may be on it?
Yes.
And do you recognize that to be the same tote lid that you submitted to the crime laboratory in connection with this case? I say you, the GBI submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to tender 1.7.
You know, no objection.
If we can open that tote lid, please.
Okay. What do you have? Come on. You can do it. Look at big boy. So he has the hand
If you
grenade.
could remove that from the package.
He has a hand grenade hairdo. Okay.
Your Honor, if that can be published.
Sure.
Is there anything that you noted about the condition of that lid that drew your attention in terms of its condition
What did
physically?
you note?
It's actually in pretty good shape.
Okay. Were there any cracks or wear on that?
None that I saw,
It's brand new.
and none that I see now.
Okay. And with respect to the handle areas on these totes, did you have an opportunity to look at them?
Here's the other thing though. So if these folks, right, if these folks were I don't want to say that they were nomads for a little bit because it sounds like they had no real, I guess they were homeless to some extent. They were going from Airbnb to Airbnb or from temporary shelter to temporary shelter. I'm just wondering where he would have gotten all these totes from if they didn't have a residence per se. Because I'm going back to the opening, I don't recall testimony, or at least the prosecution saying that we'll hear testimony about him buying these totes, or unless he's staying at an Airbnb where they already have totes. I have questions. I'd like to know how they link him to the totes.
On the lid, I did not notice anything on the totes themselves, but I did notice some, what appeared to be some stress marks around the tote handles themselves.
What is a stress mark?
So it'd be a deformation of the plastic. We have, say, a force put on that plastic that is greater than what it's designed to handle. Then you might see a cracking, you might see a split, or if anybody's ever overloaded a tote before, storage tote, then you know what I'm talking about. But the handle showed some stress, what appeared to me to be stress marks.
What would cause that, if you can say? You said overloaded. I'm asking, I guess, just to be more clear as to what you meant by that.
Well, if the tote had something heavy in it, that could have caused it, or if it had a force placed against it, with a resistance on the handle itself, then that could have been caused.
Okay. And did you see that on both the black and the gray tote, or just one?
Just all on both.
You saw it on both. Okay. And you can put that away. I think you actually lost a tag over here.
The evidence.
No. Thank you.
Almost time for women's college basketball.
No, I believe. I apologize.
Oh, the track and field trials were crazy. They were crazy. You had Noah Lyles, Kung Fu Kenny. They were fighting. They were about to squabble on the track. It was crazy, but very entertaining.
I believe you testified earlier that you did swabbings on the totes. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I swabbed the stains that were on the toast in order to test them, again, for the presumptive field test.
But you didn't do any other swabbings. That would have been the crime laboratory
No, so,
at the time that she was recovered.
no, ma'am.
Wait, what?
Wells, woman effect.
Affected her body in any way?
Yes, ma'am. And generally speaking, the less advanced the state of decomposition we find remains.
Go back. I want to hear about the
Does
state.
that smell change depending on the stage of decomposition?
Yes, ma'am. Generally, it's less noticeable in the early stages. However, as it becomes more advanced and the smell becomes stronger.
Okay. And without being inappropriate, have you handled many decomposing human bodies?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the different smells at the different stages of decomposition?
More than I want to be.
Are you able to advise this jury what the stage of the smell was in your experience?
So they don't have stages so much that I can define scientifically speaking. I can tell you that, and again, generally, the odor of decomposition is very mild to begin. And then as decomposition progresses and becomes more advanced, that odor becomes much more noticeable.
So in this case, portions of her remains were recovered on different days, correct?
Correct.
The torso, what piece was that?
And that was the first piece. Mindy's torso was the first part of her that was recovered.
Okay. And would you say that that was mild then, or an advanced smell?
It was mild.
Okay. So at that point, would that have made any difference to you in your assertions or your thoughts about your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. And generally speaking, the less advanced the state of decomposition we find remains in, the shorter the period of time we would consider them to have been either deceased or at least have been dumped there.
Okay. So as of December 2nd of 2022, the smell was not heavy.
It was not very strong, ma'am. The ditch was cool too, and generally temperature has a significant impact on decomposition rates as well. The cooler it is, usually the slower decomposition occurs. Same way your refrigerator keeps your food fresh.
Okay. And would the water in this case have affected her body in any way when you recovered her torso?
Yes, ma'am. In particular, we noticed that her fingertips, the skin around her fingertips was wrinkled in what we call a washerwoman effect. And that's the same thing you can see if you ever go swimming and you notice after an hour or two, your fingertips are wrinkled. Your skin on your fingers absorbs water, and as it does, it's going to buckle some as it swells. It's the same thing that happened here.
And with respect to blood, you've testified as to retrieving her torso, retrieving the leg, and finding some blood in Savannah at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's start with her torso first. Can you describe for the jury whether or not she was still bleeding at the time that she was recovered?
No, ma'am.
Can you explain to them what that means with respect to how you she had open wounds, correct?
Right.
Was there any blood still coming from those open wounds?
No, we didn't notice any at that time.
And so with respect to her leg, was there any blood pooled where her leg was recovered that you recovered?
No, and again, keep in mind she was on her back in water, in mud, so it would have been very difficult to tell if there was any blood coming out of her body or issuing from her body at that time, regardless. But I did not notice any, not when I was in the dish or even when we pulled her out later on.
And now going back to Savannah just for a moment, you showed us 2 images of where blood was recovered, or at least fluoresced, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any other blood inside the Savannah residence that fluoresced?
No, ma'am.
Obviously, there was the very light fluorescence, not on the photograph.
Right, the one that was on the wall that you didn't see in the photograph, but yes, the wall, the floor, the futon. There was a space in the bedroom on the opposite side of the house from the den on the floor that we did notice some fluorescence on the floor. But Blue Star reacts with iron, so there was some iron furniture in that bedroom, and we swabbed an area just in case and sent it to the crime lab for testing as well.
I want to see this.
And
process.
with respect to that area, do you know if there were any findings of blood in that bedroom?
No, there were not.
Okay, so the only place that blood was found is on the back of that futon mattress, on the floor, and on the wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any way of knowing how much blood was there?
No, ma'am. Again, a small amount of blood can be spread over a large area and made to look like a large amount of blood, especially in the quantities that we're dealing with. We're talking about blood that can't be seen by the naked eye, so but only detected by chemicals, other than what was on the futon.
And specifically, I'm pointing to 1.1 RR. May I publish this round? Do you see what I'm looking at?
I do.
Is that the saturation spot on the futon that you were referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all you had showing up on the back of the futon?
That was after the cover had been removed, but yes, that's what had appeared to soak through the futon and onto the mattress padding below.
Was this consistent with, if you can say, dismemberment?
I'm not a medical examiner, but there's more blood in the human body than that. So I would think not. But again, it's probably a better Emmy question.
But that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, did you look everywhere in the house?
So yes, so as part of the process, we blacked out the entire house with plastic, and so we covered over, the lights on the microwave. We made sure as much of the light was cut out as we could, and then we sprayed the ceilings, the walls, and the floor of every room.
In every room?
In every room.
And that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll step out, we'll take 10 minutes.
What did you guys do after 10 minutes?
Court's in recess. 10 minutes.
Did you come back with cross or no? Let us find out. Nope. I guess they did not come back. Did they? Guess they didn't come back, but let's I quickly want to go over the comments. That's where I live, okay? Let's see. Okay, let us see. So apparently notice a guy in the green shirt gets a smile on his face and a rise. Oh my goodness. So I'm not even going to read the rest of that. So no, we don't want to look at those photos. Absolutely not. Somebody else had terrible opening statement by the defense. Doug Weinstein has no business handling this trial. Listen, it's one thing to want to get paid. It's one thing to want to appear on court TV. It's one thing to, be part of a major case and get recognized by people with no legal experience. To think that you're qualified to take on this kind of case, but that man is not qualified. He's not qualified to handle this as a defense attorney. Maybe with co-counsel, he'd have something, but on his own, I don't see it. Let's see. What's going on? Why are they smiling? Man, looks like he's lost a lot of weight.
And we don't know how long the cross-examination. I've just conferred with counsel, and it's we've covered a lot of ground today, and we don't know how long the cross-examination may take of this witness. So in light of the fact that it's 4:30, we've got some weather issues outside, we'll go ahead and excuse you for the day.
Okay.
Please abide by the court's.
All right, hold on. While the judge's talking, let me read the rest of these comments. Blah, 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 timestamps, blah, 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 blah. We don't actually have, we don't really have a lot of discussions or comments. Some people want to see all the gruesome photos. I don't want to see that stuff. Even the thought makes my stomach turn. Okay, somebody said, well, so far, innocent until found guilty, but I reckon his lies and the evidence isn't looking good for him. He's certainly a Walter Mitty, to say the least. What a sad demise for the victim. This is new to me. I've not heard about this case before now. Somebody said, Doug Weinstein, what a great attorney. He did well in the YSL trial. Woman said behind the defense lawyer in the white top, you'd have thought, I don't know, let's leave people's appearances alone. Yeah, people want to see all the gory photographs. Let's go back to Reddit. I'm already on Reddit. I'm already on Reddit. Let's go to Court TV. Let's go to Court TV. Let's see what they have. Court TV. Let's see if they have anything else. Then Court TV on Reddit only has 18,000 members. I know they're talking about Donna. They're talking about Sheila. Hold on, we want to see the newest. New. Okay, worst opening I've ever seen. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so folks are disagreeing with, this individual that said the prosecution's opening was terrible. I thought that opening by the prosecution was actually pretty good. Oh no, my girls won! No freaking way. I had actually divorced the Sky. I hate that I didn't watch. Let's go to ESPN. Because I had divorced the Chicago Sky because they've just, I don't know. It was back-to-back losses. Hold on. Oh, they won. Oh, they won against the Mystics. And that's a bit of a surprise. Let's look at the box score. Yeah, I will be watching the Sky live in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. I don't quite remember. I have to look at my tickets. But I'll be watching the Sky live. I'm a little excited, but I'm also prepared to be disappointed. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with the Sky. I feel like divorcing them. I have nowhere else to go because I don't really mesh with all the other teams. I'm an Angel Reese fan. That's that's a real reason I support the Sky. Not even that. I'm an LSU fan. Okay, so I support all the girls that went to LSU. Right now, I try to watch the Connecticut Sun sometimes because they have Anissa Morrow. She's actually from Chicago, though. Anissa Morrow was born and raised in Chicago. I think she went to a school called Simeon or something along those lines. Her parents, I believe her mom was actually her high school coach, and she went to LSU. She transferred to LSU. She went to DePaul, most of a college career. So, that's where we are. But thank you. That is good news. That is good news, Jason. And I should be ironing or in bed or something. All right, so let's reconvene. I really like this trial. I was not going to be up here tomorrow, but I am coming back up here tomorrow. The reason we're coming back is because I need to watch Doug Weinstein's cross, okay? So we need to watch that cross examination. Tomorrow, let's start at 9 though, okay? We're going to start at 9. This will give me time to parent, do things that I have to do with my daughter. We start at 9. I need to see the cross examination. Jason said, okay, that's it, no cross. I need to see what Doug's going to do on cross examination. I will be keeping a pad tomorrow. I don't think I have any client. Nobody's coming to that office tomorrow. No. So I'm going to keep a little notepad. I'm going to make notes. No. I don't want to ruin it for myself. So I'm going to skip the first hour of the day because I don't want to watch the cross examination of the agent. I'm going to be reacting live to the cross examination when I come up here at 9 p.m. tomorrow. Let me see. But I will try to watch the majority of, or at least I'll have Court TV playing in the background as I work, provided I'm not on the phone or anything along those lines. Okay. Shout out to Benji. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Brooklyn and the replay crew. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'm starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And now I'm going to have to watch highlight from the Chicago Sky game. I really should be going to bed, but I need to get that done before I go to bed. You guys have a fantastic Wednesday, and then let's reconvene tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right? I'm out.